Hi, everyone. You're listening to the Alex Files. I am Alex Morales.
And I'm Alex Pratt.
And this is our first episode ever. Yeah, wow. It has been a week like no other. It is January 22nd, 2021, which is strange to say. And we just lived through yet another week of a global pandemic, the inauguration, and a new administration, among other things. So lots going on. How are you feeling today on this Friday?
I'm feeling a little surreal. You know, the good news of this week and the emotions of watching that ceremony and really realizing that the Trump time is over for now. It was so relieving and surreal, and I don't think we've had a moment like that in over a year.
Totally.
Has been compounding and stifling, to say the least.
It's a lot. And I think after the events of January 6th, the insurrection at the Capitol, just so much collective anxiety leading up to that. It was, the inauguration was such a hopeful day, but it also, I think, I'm not the only one that felt kind of on edge.
Oh, yeah. Waiting for the next shoe to drop, waiting for the next attack. It was scary. And I think it was brave to be so public and out there and not let that fear stop them. But definitely. And also kind of just living in America whenever I'm in like a very crowded place, not anymore in the pandemic, but it's just like gun violence is so prevalent. You can't
totally
trust, and seeing those people show up, I was just, they were kind of walking around very lethargic at the Capitol. But I still had such fear, like who's carrying a weapon, as soon as it gets out of control.
It's a lot of unknowns. I know during the inauguration, watching it, just the live stream, the prayer, the moment of silence or prayer that was done with all the National Guard were praying. And I was like, who's standing guard if everyone's praying? I don't know. I was very concerned just in my own head. And then it was fine. And J-Lo sang and, dropped in like, Let's Get Loud and Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. It was so epic. It was so epic. And Garth Brooks, I'm not really sure what he's up to or what he's doing, but when he asked me to sing a verse of Amazing Grace, like I did.
Okay. I think that was the moment where I like went downstairs to get coffee, and I'm sorry I missed it.
It was funny. I had like a group text going with my dad and brother, and we were like live reacting, and Garth Brooks, that's an interesting choice. Really just rounding it out.
Rounding it out.
I saw today that Dr. Jill Biden went out to some of the service army men that were there, keeping everybody safe, and offered them a really like compassionate gesture of like baked cookies, and just saying like, thank you so much for keeping everybody safe and flying out here from wherever you're from and serving your country. And I had a son in the service like this, so I thought it was just like, wow, like human compassion. Whoa,
that's amazing.
We forgot what that is. And
baked goods, I mean,
goes
if I learned anything from my mother, it is that whether it's store-bought or not, like if you make them yourself, bringing in baked cookies to an office setting, to anything, like people love them. They're just like little delights.
I have been into the dollar cookies from 7-Eleven. I live across the street from a 7-Eleven. 2 really nice cookies that they make there for $1.
What are your favorite
And then
flavors?
chocolate chip. And then
I mean,
actually,
a
they
classic.
didn't have any of those left, and I didn't get any other flavor. And I said, next time, hopefully. I
My
didn't. I didn't. I didn't.
God.
I didn't settle.
You said no?
I was like, nah, peanut butter. I'm at the age
Not the
where like
same.
I have to be choosy with what I'm gonna indulge in. I guess
Yeah.
metabolism has a different behavior.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just what a world. We're almost a year into this pandemic. I guess should we give the folks listening some context about like who we are? Yes, we happen to share the same name, but like what else?
Yes, let's do it. Why don't we start by talking a little bit about you, Alex Morales, and who you are, what your essence is, where you're from, what's your mission statement, what do you do?
Oh my God, mission statement. Always a tricky piece of writing to put together for a person, for an institution. My name is Alex Morales, introducing
Hi.
myself to the Zoom and to the pod. And for our readers, listeners, I am a 31-year-old living in the Bay Area. I'm originally from San Diego. By day, and often evenings, I manage social media for higher ed. And in my free time, I like writing sort of personal essays, going on hikes or walks, especially during the pandemic. So, really appreciate the days when it's nice out and the air is clear. Like mixing it up with cooking. And yeah, I've really embraced the road trip in this pandemic, like the solo road trip. So that's what I'm here for. And I stand by the fact, it's a very controversial opinion that the Bay Area has terrible burritos. And I'm going on the record saying that in an attempt to really like bait for more listeners. But yeah, I'm from San Diego, so I stand strong in that view. And just really love coming home, but I also love it here. So yeah, and my full name is Alexandra, which we'll get into later as we sort of do a deep dive. But that's a bit about me.
Awesome.
How about you, friend?
My name is also Alex or Alexandra, and I currently live in San Diego, but I am from Portland, Maine. I moved out here to go to college, SDSU, and kind of start a new life in California. A lot more opportunities and sunshine. And something I really love is playing music. I've been a musician for over a decade, playing in bands here, and finally writing and producing my own stuff. I spend a lot of time making music and art. I love to make art by the name of Foxine J. I think recently I've realized that like art, making things and music is like a way to express and expel anxiety. So I do it a lot. I have a full-time job. I am a team manager of a social media moderation and community engagement for a big brand in America. It has a lot of stores, always online and on Facebook. I love being outside as well and trying to push myself, like learning to horseback ride, play tennis and roller skate, and just try to have a growth mindset of maybe I don't know how to do it now, but I'm going to try to learn. And, I am just super excited to start to dive into this podcast with you, Alex. I always thought it'd be super cool. Like, what if I dated somebody named Alex? And
this
then
is cooler.
This is like way better. I would never want that. I would never want that anymore. This is like the ultimate. And we've talked about this before, but we have this like Alex brain that we share.
Totally. It's like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yes.
And just, already know what I'm going to ask you. Yesterday we were doing like a mic test at the same time, like sharing. I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing that too right now. We're so cute.
It's wild. I will say, related to dating someone with your same name, I've never done that, but it just reminds me of the time many years ago when Paris Hilton dated a guy or like some model or something named Paris. And essentially,
I did not know about that.
Yeah. So she could say like, I love you, Paris. Yes, that's
Did she say
thing.
that?
Well,
she implied it.
She applied. I think she may have applied it. So I think this is way better.
I had a roommate who got married. Her name was Jacqueline, and his name was Jack. So it was Jack and Jackie.
Wow.
That's pretty cute. But
sort of like a children's book.
This is Jack and Jackie. Jack and Jackie. Great people. Went to their wedding. Wonderful. But yeah, we have the name Alex.
We have the name Alex, and let's get into a little bit about like how we met. How did we meet on the internet? Did we meet in real life? Like, what's going on there?
Swipe, swipe. No, we didn't meet on the internet. I actually am interested to talk to you about this because I'm not like 1,000,000% sure. I have like this vague idea of how we met. So do you want to kick it off with what you remember? We'll add in.
It's a blur. So at the time, I don't remember the exact year, but we were both living in San Diego. I think we were both in our 20s, I believe.
Definitely.
And when I graduated from school in the Bay Area, college, moved back home to San Diego and did the classic, I'm going to live at home after graduating because, you know, who doesn't love that? And was sort of trying to find my friend group. And I think that Lex and I met through a friend of a friend at a show at, you know, a formerly iconic San Diego institution known as Soda Bar. I did do a pretty good job of dating only people who were in bands when living in San Diego. And the first sort of step of that was like, first I want to just meet cool people, like cool friends, because it's so hard to find new friends after you graduate college. And I think
even in college.
Or in college. The origin story is really, really fuzzy, but I think we were at like a show together and we're probably like, oh my God, we have the same name and like the same full name, like not like Lexi or like Alexandria or Alexis. Like we're both Alex.
None of that shit.
None of that garbage.
I mean, none of that other alternative stuff.
Exactly.
If that's your name, it's beautiful. It's wonderful.
It's just, yeah, it's not ours. It's not our story to tell. So yeah, I think it was on one of those like, you know, Saturday night sticky floors.
I miss that.
Yeah, just being in this little dive bar venue on El Cajon Boulevard and then doing that journey. And over time, we're like, oh my God, you're a cool person. I'm a cool person. Let's hang out. Lots of adventures. Going to see Drake versus Lil Wayne. That was fun.
Biggest concert I've ever been to.
Yeah, it was wild. You could vote on your phone about who you wanted to win the rap battle. So that was kind of wild.
And Lil Wayne definitely lost. I could tell he had like backing tracks.
I
know people have backing tracks, but he wasn't like syncing up with it on some of the stuff.
Totally. And it was a nightmare to get out of that concert because
and to get into it
because what is it? Sleep Train Amphitheater, or I'm not sure what it's called now. Does it have a different name? Anyways,
yeah, I don't know.
It's very far away, but we did a good job and it was super fun. Even though we were stuck in traffic for hours, it was like the most fun because, you know,
in this giant parking lot that has no like roads or boundaries or anybody helping you out of there, and everyone's just at the end of the concert like 10,000 people are just like, let me get out of here. Took us an hour. And then I remember we tried to go to a bar at like last call for this person's birthday. It was like we did a lot that night. I don't have energy to do that kind of stuff anymore.
I know.
I didn't even have it that night, but we pulled it out.
Know. We pulled through. You know, you took me to some iconic chain restaurants pre-pandemic and sort of introduced me to the tier of chain restaurants in terms of like, you have your Chili's, you have your Cheesecake Factory, you have your Olive Garden.
I think that could be a good topic for this podcast if we want to revisit
I love that. I love that idea.
Yeah. So I remember meeting you through someone I was in a band with. And I was like, you know, you guys knew each other maybe from concerts. And then I think we had a couple of nights hanging out, and I remember the first time we hung out, just us, and it was definitely Soda Bar or The Void or Space or Zombie Lounge, whatever that bar used to be called. And yeah, we'd just see where the night would take us. And then we started doing like gal dates, going to those chain restaurants, because you write these awesome articles for Hello Giggles and other websites, and you did like this whole series of kind of the hierarchy of chain restaurants.
I did, and I also went on a date at Chili's once.
Oh yeah, the first date.
And
the
last.
And the last?
Well,
oh, was it a one and done?
Well, I wouldn't call the other ones dates. But yeah, it was a time. I mean, first time at Chili's, I think, and you really prepped me for it.
So I had never been to Chili's until I was in college. And that's like the biggest mistake of my life, because I love Chili's. I love Chili's. And so many people are so judgmental about it. And things like Olive Garden, like chain restaurants. And it's like, okay, like I like it. So I know people really love me for me when they'll happily go to Chili's with me, or buy me Chili's, or not make fun of me and come with me and be excited about it.
I was so excited. And I think I appreciate there's so many unknowns in the world, especially now. So maybe this doesn't apply to the sit down part, but chain restaurants, like there's that consistency, like you know what you're gonna get. And
dude, you just saw into my soul. You know why? Anxiety. I like to know. I know what I like.
Yeah.
I want
like when you took me to Red Lobster and we got the cheddar bay biscuits. Okay, those are delicious.
People go there just for that.
I get it.
You know?
I get it now. Do you want to talk a little bit about, I mean, yes, we share the same name, and I don't know, like, what is there to say about our name and sort of like the history of it, maybe?
I'm actually the kind of person that has told many people this fact, and it's usually when I meet someone else with the name Alex, and usually it's a guy, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But Alexander, and the feminine form Alexandra, is Greek for protector of mankind. So we're the defender of mankind. That's kind of cool. And in Greek mythology, Alexandra was an epithet of the goddess Hera. So we don't mess around.
No.
We don't fuck around. We take names, we take care of people, and we help. I looked up a little bit of like what the internet thinks about Alexandra and like what it means. And people think it sounds chic, yet strong, and it lends itself to likable nicknames, from cutesy Lexi to boyish Alex. They say it's strong, tasteful, and elegant. Alexandra maintains a chic aura despite its popularity and has solid historic pedigree. It also offers an array of softer nicknames, like, you know, Lexi, Alexis, Xandra, Alexa.
Ooh. Wow.
I like Xandra. I've messed around. It was kind of a 90s name. It was its biggest popularity in 1993, and it's kind of been declining since. And those are just some fast little nuggets for you on the knowledge drop on our name.
That is incredible, and I'm so grateful to be named Alex, because I know some of the other options of what I might be named, and they were less.
For a girl? What were they?
Phoebe and Kwasi.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great name, and I don't think it really
fits you.
It doesn't fit me or Phoebe Morales. It's just no. And another name was, I think, something like Quatipetal, which is like an Aztec name. So
yeah, Alexandra.
So I think we're good. And then, yeah, with the idea that like I could go by Alex or not, or my parents were like, or if you want to change it, but like, why would I want to change it?
I really like that we have an X. I think that's
too.
special. Um, and my parents decided to go and call me Alex. And I always kind of felt frustrated by that because a lot of people in the 90s assumed I was a guy. And I didn't realize how that could actually work to my benefit when I was young. So I wanted to be called Allie. But they were like, no, we didn't do that because what if the kids make fun of you and call you Alley Cat? And I'm like they already make fun of me for just me being me. So at least I know
Yeah.
I'd be a girl.
Alley
But
Cat
yeah,
doesn't seem like that.
that big of a shade, right?
Yeah.
Not that bad.
Mm-mm.
But I like Alex. I did kind of start going by Lex in my 20s when I was in a band because I was in a band with someone who went by the name Diana Death.
Mm.
So badass, right? And I'm just like, I'm Alex Pratt. So I was like, let's just do a little something a little bit serious, a little bit different. And I just was like, I'm Lex. I'm Lex. And then, so people in California knew me as Lex, but people who knew like the whole kit and caboodle from Maine, they call me Alex. So
That's cool.
I
You
go
can
with
have like
both.
these different, yeah.
But don't call me Alexis. Don't call me Lexi, please, or Alexa.
Well, that's, I feel for people who have names that are now like voice recognition systems or whatever they're called. Because I have a really good friend. I have a very, very good friend who I've known my whole life named Siri. And she's like the only Siri that exists. And then, Siri came along, the other Siri. And that's gotta be tough.
Wow, that is tough. Dang.
I know. So, yeah, I would also say don't call me Alice, like Alice in Wonderland.
I was just thinking Allison. No. Alice. No.
Mm-mm.
Alex.
Yeah, and don't call me Alec, like Alec
Oh,
Baldwin.
I've gotten that too, Alec.
No, I am not a Baldwin.
Fun fact: the nickname for Alex in Russian is Sasha or Sacha. Sacha. Sasha or Sacha.
Sasha?
So like Sacha Baron Cohen. It's he's not Russian, I don't think, but in Russia it means a nickname for Alex.
Cool. Ooh.
And I also learned last week that Oleg, I think, is a Polish nickname for Alex, but I think if you're masculine, I'm not sure.
Hey, we could use it as our stage name.
And in Hawaiian, Alex is Alika. I got a keychain that said that.
Alika, wow, this is key.
Aliki tiki tiki.
Aliki. Well, Aliki. I'm Alika. Alika is good. So I guess having this name and knowing the history of it as I punch the mic thing, maybe we could talk a little bit about what it's been like for you and me to have the names that we do and sort of the situations we've run into, the positives or upsides of it. Yeah, thoughts?
Well, I get addressed as Mr. Alex Pratt a lot. And I think it's interesting that people feel the need to let me know that they had the expectation that I was going to be male. Sometimes you get that letter or someone answers the phone and asks for Mr. Alex Pratt and they just apologize for getting it wrong. But other people are like, oh, I thought you were going to be a boy. And I've heard that literally from somebody who came to repair something for me like 2 weeks ago from when I was in 3rd grade, and like a substitute teacher said that in front of everybody. Oh, I thought you were going to be a boy. Like, why does it matter? Why do you have to bring it up? But I think Alexandra is beautiful, but no one calls me that. It's 4 syllables. No one says that,
Yeah. I've definitely had the same situation, especially through emails where people say like, Dear Mr. Morales. Yes. And a lot of the times, especially for whether it's like work stuff or, when you're looking for work or in that phase where you're just like trying to reach someone, I think it does help in terms of getting a response from someone because they assume you're a guy.
And you know what? I never thought about that. That's, I think, 100% accurate, but I've never thought about that. So I've always put Alexandra on my resumes. But I think it'd be interesting to do an experiment and see how many people would respond if I just did Alex Pratt.
Like a blind test or whatever it's called. Like, yeah, side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people have definitely thought I'm a boy in terms of talking to me on the phone, but the thing that I get the most is with customer service calls with folks, or if there's a situation where you have to say, like, what is the street you grew up on, or reference like a billing address. I grew up on a street in San Diego that is Alexandria Drive, and I moved there when I was 8 or 9. So, it definitely was just a coincidence. My name is not Alexandria. It is Alexandra. But customer service people think it is very funny that I have what they say the same name as the street I grew up on. I'm like, it is not the same. I mean, it's a way to remember it, I guess, but
there's an I, and I don't have an I. Don't Drea at me. I hate when people just take the liberty and read what they want and say Alexandria. I'm like, did you see an I, bitch? No.
Yeah, like, we are not in Greece.
We're not Dreas.
I believe. I mean, I didn't go to a high school where they taught us geography, but, like, I'm not named Alexandria. Drea.
Drizza.
Oh my God. It brings them joy, so I just support it.
I worked in an office one place where there was this one person who called me Dra, D-R-A, and I had never been called Dra, and he was like, "What's up, Dra?" He was like so proud of it, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll be Dra." My dad only called me Alex when I was in trouble. He calls me Moosington J. Badusler, or Moosler, or Moose for short, Moosington J. That's where I get the J for Foxine J. But Alex means you're in trouble. And same with my mom. She calls me things like Nushnea and like the ballerina and cupcake. I don't know. So Alex, being addressed as Alex, like, Alex, watch your tone. It's like,
oh no. I get called, by my family, like Alexita, which is like little Alex.
Alexita?
In Spanish, it's like Alex.
Oh, I love that. That's cute.
But I think they mostly call me Alex. My friend Nora, who's one of my good friends from college, who I shared a room with for 3 years, she calls me Alexander or Al, which I'm okay with because...
I got called Big Al by like 2 people in my life, and I was not a fan. Big Al! I was like, don't you dare, and they did, and I hated it.
No.
Big
Sometimes
Al.
I think I have... I don't know if it, and I don't think it's just with the pandemic and wearing a mask, but I think that, and it's not just baristas, but people do with the whole Alice thing, like, am I not pronouncing the X enough? Like, am I not enunciating enough? It seems to really be a problem.
Alex.
And then they say Alice, and I go,
I guess. What kind of drink is that? Alex. Yeah, that is tough.
But Alice, sure, go ask her. She's in Wonderland. Like, a lot of references.
Alice. I got Alan once on a cup. And it was the guy who looked at me and took my order and wrote it. And I was like, really? You got Alan for me, bro? Okay, cool. It was in college, too. I'll never forget that. It was like a little coffee cart. And I was like, bro, really? Okay. Alan, sure.
I get... sometimes, like, with family, on my dad's side of the family, Alejandra. So that's,
I only started getting that when I moved to California, because there's not a lot of Spanish people in Maine. There's not a lot of diversity. So I moved out here, and people would just change my name to that. And I'd be in this doctor's office, and they'd be like, Alejandra Pratt. And I'd stand up, and they'd go, confused, like, why is this white girl standing up? I'm like, because you just changed my name, because I'm not Alejandra, I'm Alex.
Yeah. That happened. I mean, I'm like half like Latina, like white, but that would also happen in school where people like someone would read like Alexandra Alejandra, and then I'd be like, here. They're like, oh, you look white.
It's like,
well,
first of all, you got my name wrong. Second of all, why are you making this reaction with your face based on what you think my name should match the way I look? It's like, talk about prejudice.
I know. It's weird. Yeah, I think I just try to sort of, in the most gracious way I can, like surrender to the moment and be like, sure, like if that's going to work in my favor as Alex or Alejandra or like Alex the male.
I got the
or
gist
Alice.
of it. You need me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I had this situation where I had this nightmare roommate who did a lot of bad things, and one of the things she did was open up a fake account at AT&T and ran up this bill, but it wasn't my social security number, but she put it under Alexandra Pratt. And when I tried to get my job for work at home, the AT&T wouldn't provide internet because of the debt that I had accrued under this. So while I was filing like a suit, like you need to repeal this, it took me like a year, but they did it. The guy thought, since there's a lock on your account for Alexandra Pratt, what if we tried Alex Pratt? And sure enough, Alex Pratt wasn't blocked, and I got internet. So
I am so
having a
sorry.
double name, oh, it was nuts. She worked at AT&T and opened up the phone bill under my name, but I had a fake social security number, and I didn't do anything about it. Like, I avoided it for a really long time, but then finally I went into where she used to work, and I said, look, if you don't remove this, like, look at your computer. It's this person's name, isn't it? It's not my social. Here's my social card. Do something about it. And I got a letter back. They apologized, but like that day I needed internet for work. And so this helpful person was very smart, and I got to use the advantage of having a 4-syllable name condensed to a 2.
Thank God for that. And also, I'm so sorry that happened. People, I would just say
it was
okay, wow.
It was trauma for sure. And I haven't lived with somebody in 9 years because of it. This is the apartment I got after I broke my lease and fled. Also, the first and only time I've ever slashed somebody's tire.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm not condoning, but also
it was bad.
I don't know. I think, and we'll get into the grief stuff in another episode, but there have been many moments in my grief journey where I'm like, it'd be really cool to like slash a tire or like buy a flamethrower.
It's scary. It's scary. And it wasn't even her car because she didn't have a car. It was whoever was there to help her. I was like, sorry, you're fucking collateral at this point.
Yeah. Sorry, bud.
And then my ex-boyfriend at the time, he was such a coward. He saw and heard the noise and he got all freaked out. Sorry to call him a coward, but
I mean,
yeah, he freaked out and was like, you should have done that. We like drove off with like the trunk open. It was like hissing. And I was so nervous. But I mean, she put me through a lot of pain and a lot of money and a lot of damage. So,
and you know what?
You live, you learn, you slash.
You slash. And you know what? I would just
I'm not proud of it.
No, I'm not proud of a lot of things, including the time that I went to Soda Bar, which is part of our origin story, and broke a glass, like on purpose, like just threw it on the ground. And I told someone that I was sort of dating in the way that you do in those San Diego days. I was like, you clean this up. And then I ran away, and then I ran outside, and my friends
was it another person who worked there?
And my friends were like,
I know who this is.
My friends were like, where did you go? I'm like, I went far away, but I was just around the corner hiding near that, like, the car dealership place or the parking lot that's like to the left.
Yeah, we loaded in the gear.
Yeah, I was just hiding there, and it was so dumb. I wanted my life at that moment to be like high drama, like an HBO series about 20-somethings.
Gossip Girl.
Yeah, but like it wasn't, and
well, I think it might have been because you did break glass. That's a pretty powerful moment.
I did, and he actually didn't clean it up. Someone else did, and then I walked back in, and I was like, I'm sorry I did that, and I need to go now. So,
oh, you apologize. That's such a nice move. I probably would have Irish goodbye'd that and been like out the back door. Sorry, bro.
Seacrest out.
Seacrest out. Sorry. I'm 75% Irish. I don't know how to say goodbye.
I mean, I love an Irish goodbye. I think that leaving situations in the before times, as many people have called, pre-pandemic, yeah, it's just key because it takes like an hour plus
And they're not going
to
to
get
let
out
you
of.
go. If they're
No.
drinking, they're not going to let you go. They don't want to see you go, or they don't
Mm-mm.
care, but they'll act like they care, and it's annoying. So sometimes you just got to yeet out of there on your own, and no one cares because they're all on to the next
Well,
bar.
they won't remember. They won't remember. I
They
can't
won't
wait
remember.
for the day that we feel like it's safe enough and we're comfy enough, even though we're probably all super traumatized from like
When
being
is
in crowds. I don't know. Even
Am I going to be 40?
I mean, this is 40. I don't know.
So, okay. I'm even having that part of like you're watching stuff on TV and you're like, they're touching hands, they're at a party, this is so unsafe. And it's like you don't feel safe about that. But then I saw The Great Gatsby and I was like, okay, well, this is after the Spanish flu and they're having a giant party without masks. Like, we'll get there eventually, right?
We will.
We'll get there.
Yeah, and I guess, yeah, I understand like watching shows and things where people aren't wearing masks and it's not in a pandemic setting. But I also, it's like, I know that shows like Grey's Anatomy and other shows have sort of incorporated the pandemic.
And that freaks me out too.
I don't
When
want to
you
watch
see it in
that.
commercials, when you see it in commercials too, it's like it's so normalized and it's just no.
I don't know. I want a show where like people are living their lives and they're not wearing masks
And this is not happening.
And it's an escape because like
and we're on Virgin River and we're like letting go of our New York ways and loving Colorado.
Yes. Oh my God. Maybe we'll need an episode about Virgin River. Based on I want to call them like romance novel airport books. They're based on books.
Wait, the episodes or the whole series?
The whole series. It's based on a book.
Oh, that's cute. I've never really read those.
Me either, but they seem very like if you're, before the pandemic about to like catch a flight, you're like, what book should I get? And there's like some like romance novel and it's called like Virgin River. Then you just grab it.
I don't like romance novels.
I don't either, but there's something about this show, which is an interpretation.
Oh, I like the show. Definitely like
great.
The show.
The show's so good.
It reminds me of an adult version of Everwood. Again, probably just because it's set in Colorado, but like that small town cabin drama.
I think it's actually set in like, it's supposed to be in Humboldt, like in Northern California.
Yeah, it's like that Humboldt country. Wow.
But you know what? Colorado and Humboldt have like the weed vibes, even though it's filmed in Canada. I've done a lot of research.
That's amazing. I clearly have only seen season 1, so I'm going to just stop talking like I know what I'm talking about. And I'm also just thinking about Colorado, I guess.
Hey, it's a beautiful place. I've only been there once, but I did go to Red Rocks. It was super fun and a great venue.
I was offered a job there, but it was like the same hourly wage I made. And I wasn't ready to leave San Diego. And I went and visited Fort Collins. It was really cute, but very small. And I had a lot of that in Maine, so I didn't go. But now, as I'm older and needing kind of less human interaction and stimulation, and also the pandemic, I'm like, you know what? Put me in with the trees.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Put me next to a river with some trees, not a lot of snow. We'll be okay.
And, like cold times, that could be fun to be cozy.
Oh, not that cold, though. Somewhere where I call it decorative snow, where it doesn't really stick.
Like a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Where it's not, you're living in it, can't drive, your sump pump freezes over. Nah, none of that stuff.
I mean, you're originally from a place where it's cold.
I'm a Maina. It's wicked fucking cold up there, dude. It's like the Arctic. However, you get more snow up in the Rochester area, up by New York, upstate. They get 100 inches more snow a year on average than Maine. Maine gets about 70 inches of snow a year. So 70 divided by 12 is how many feet? I don't know. But that's a lot. And then you add 170 inches a year. So yeah, I don't really like snow a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. I haven't been to Rochester, but I have been to Syracuse.
That's upstate too, right?
Yeah, and it was during the summer, so it was nice, but also like not a lot going on. The highlight, honestly, for me was eating cannolis and drinking coffee out of styrofoam cups, which I didn't even, this was 2 years ago. I didn't know styrofoam was still allowed.
Yeah, there's styrofoam still coming out of Chick-fil-A too, in their cups. I'm like, what is this? 1997?
I know, it feels like the 90s, but Syracuse.
Oh, I wish it did.
Honestly, the cannolis, if you're ever in the Syracuse area,
Shout out to the cannolis.
It was for a friend's wedding, and that was my favorite meal.
One more time. Shout out to the cannolis.
Shout out to the cannolis, and shout out to me considering for one moment during that July trip of moving to Syracuse because the rent was so cheap.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I've been thinking about moving out of San Diego, and just looking at the kind of place I could afford somewhere else is mind-boggling. And I don't think it's real. I'm like, nah, a 3-bedroom house for what? No, you're kidding
not possible.
Me. Yeah, it's crazy how expensive it is. California in general, but like the sunshine tax, man, it's so beautiful. There's so much opportunity, so many people. I mean, mountains, beach, lakes, snow. I mean, you have it all here. It's really, truly beautiful. And y'all go blue every time. So.
Well, yes. And
we have our problem areas.
As we're learning,
a lot.
But Pacific Beach. Let's talk about Huntington Beach. But it's, you know what? Know your neighbors. It's a huge part of the pandemic.
Dude, I saw a truck driving around La Mesa, which is where I'm near, and there was a swastika flag on the truck, and it had been driving around for months, and the police don't do anything about it. And it's just, I don't know if I could control myself if I saw that in real life without reacting to it violently, or just watching it go by and allowing it doesn't feel right. But yeah, scary times. Hopefully all of those cult mob terrorists will go back into their holes slowly as the government takes back over and arrests people for criminal charges. But we'll see. I'm scared because of the, parallels between what happened in Germany, so we'll see.
It's very scary. And,
man, we wrap back around to it. It's hard not to wrap back around to like
right?
everyday life.
Yeah. I mean, this is separate but adjacent. Like many years ago, I went to the Creation Museum, which is not nearly as big as the one in like Kentucky where they built the life-size. Yeah, well, Clanty.
Clanty, yeah.
It was exhausting. I mean, I'm glad I went. I went with my friend David. We paid in cash. We pretended that we were students from San Diego State, going on the record saying that now. I came up with a story about how we were religious studies majors, and it worked. And it worked as a cover story, but the museum itself was just beyond bizarre. But the scariest part was that there were cameras everywhere. So we couldn't even do the like thing that you do with your friends where you like look at each other and you're like, whoa, like what is this thing that I'm looking at, or like acknowledge like the shared experience in any type of museum setting, whether it's like the Museum of Natural History, like a real museum, or like this weird roadside one. So
it is a roadside one. I've driven by that on the way to the drive-in movies, and every time I know I'm going the right way because of the weird Creationism Museum, and I'm like,
it's so weird.
It's a little terrifying.
It's terrifying. And another part of it, just like bringing some San Diego lore to the forefront, is that so the museum's in the front, it's pretty small. And then in the back, there's like a parking lot with this huge laboratory called Scantibodies. And it's like some like research lab for like human plasma. And it's connected, like it has an affiliation with the Creation Museum, which I'm not really sure what the full story there is. I think there could be a podcast spinoff.
An investigative series like Payne Lindsay. We go deep dive.
Yes.
Figure out what they're doing, man.
Ooh. We need to know more. But needless to say, I still have the brochures from the Creation Museum in my car. So,
We're ready. Yeah, we can reopen this chapter.
I'm ready.
And I'm here local. I could do some local. Well, they're probably closed. Everything's fucking closed.
But you also are close to, I think it's called Unarius or something. It's like another sort of culty thing in El Cajon that has to do with outer space. So that's another thing you could explore.
That's a little bit more up my alley.
Yeah,
Aliens
right?
and shit. Yeah. I like that. I might just go check that out for fun.
I mean, why not?
Cults, dude, nah.
No.
I'm not putting on the sneakers or drinking the shit or doing your thing.
Well, and that was, Heaven's Gate, I think, was in Rancho Bernardo or Rancho Santa Fe. Can I just make a statement about people on reality shows or in the public who are like, I'm from San Diego, like people on The Bachelor or, like Adam Brody on the OC, etc. And then they're from Scripps Ranch, which is like San Diego County, but like
not San Diego,
not the city.
You're NorCal, or not NorCal, North County, like so detached.
So I don't know. I want more if you're gonna be representing the city when really you're representing the county.
And you're in a really rich area that's very disconnected from the actual El Cajon Boulevard, which is outside my front door and has been for 14 years because I'm a creature of habit. But it's like, yeah, I get that kind of, because some people want to give a name of somewhere they're from that people will hear of, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm from Portland. People are like, oh, I love Portland, Oregon. And I'm like, Portland, Maine. And they're like, what? And I'm like, look at a map.
Totally. It's like, yeah. And I get it. Like, but also just like, please.
Isn't like POD from Chula Vista or something?
I would believe you.
That could be like the biggest misquote of the century or dead on.
I honestly trust you on this.
Jason Mraz.
Oh, Mr. A to Z.
Did he actually grow up in the city, or is he from like Poway?
He might be from Poway. I think slightly stupid is from Ocean Beach, I think.
Oh, wow.
I did see them in concert in Manhattan once, no joke. And there was a mascot like marijuana leaf dancing on stage. It was a choice to see them. Not my choice, but it was fun to be like, hey, they're from OB. That's cool.
Yeah. I totally go to OB all the time, man. That's a cool chill spot compared to like PB or Mission Beach, which is very close to the LA stereotype of what people like me from Maine think about when we think of California. The beach boardwalk and all that stuff. OB is even way more built up than anything in Maine as far as like a boardwalk beach goes, but it's a little overwhelming. There's never everyone in a park. Everyone's walking around in a thong bathing suit. And I'm just like,
Oh, in OB or in PB?
In like PB and Mission Beach.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting because every beach little neighborhood, I mean, throughout California and in San Diego, they're just like so different. I feel like PB, granted,
the night scene is,
yeah,
yikes. I went out there once with a friend once, and it was like, I still remember that night. Like, it was so terrible. The culture there was like not for me.
I've been to New Jersey, Jersey City and Hoboken, but I've never been to Jersey Shore, like the Jersey Shore, and that's how I imagine like PB.
Parallels.
Yes, okay, like the similar vibes. And then I don't know, and then La Jolla is like beautiful and super bougie, obviously, and like has its own very different like clientele. And Ocean Beach, OB, feels like, I don't know, like kind of like Santa Cruz maybe, or like,
yeah, definitely a little bit more like that. It's more my pace, a little more mellow, still stuff to do, little thrift stores, pizza,
drum circles, even in a pandemic.
Oh, yikes.
Careful,
Did
guys.
you ever go to the Black's Beach drum circle?
No, but I did go to Black's Beach once in high school.
The climb down there, bro. It's like,
I know. Oops.
I did that with a broken leg. In my first band, I broke my leg in 2006, and they, were a punk band, all girl.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to take me down this. I had no idea what I was getting into, and it was the hardest situation. It took us like a half hour to get me down the mountain, but it was cool. It was a drum circle and a party, and on the beach, and like very like TV show kind of moment for me. But I'm not like someone who does like psychedelics at that point. I was just like a newbie, and then I was just like, oh god, I gotta get up this hill again. But it's cool.
No. I didn't I mean, I guess in high school, because I went once, I've only been like once in high school, I think was the only time, and it kind of traumatized me because I went with some friends and it was during sunset, and then they're like, oh, let's smoke a bowl. And so we did, and then
things get weird.
Well, when the sun's setting, the light's weird, and then I was like, oh my god, I forgot we're at like a nude beach. And it's not like, I don't know, it's like all old men. So that was jarring. And
it just hit differently at dark.
Honestly, it hit different, and I was like, gotta get back up this hill. Like, this is too much. We gotta go. So that was the last time I was there. I mean, I think I've been, to nearby, kind of Torrey Pines-ish during the day, which is so beautiful, and lots of cool like hiking spots and stuff. But
and the seals, you can go see the seals.
The seals,
sea lions.
The sea lions, you can smell them from far away.
Love it.
Love to see it.
Little sea flaps.
They're iconic.
I love them. I love them so much.
That's that's the noise they make. Do we want to wrap it up?
Yes. I think we went through all the ins and outs of being named Alex.
And I think it's a good baseline for folks who may be listening in, kind of why we've gathered here today. Not in a wedding or funeral sense, but just in like, we're here, and we're going to be talking about lots of different things that might resonate with you all, from kind of harder topics around mental health and grief and loss and boundary setting to kind of more fun things like pop culture things and Virgin River and
internet
trolls. Oh my gosh, blocking sugar daddy bots, dating during the pandemic, interesting observations maybe that we've seen with folks during the pandemic and that whole thing. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
This is the jump off. This is day one, and pretty soon we're gonna blink our eyes and we're gonna be doing that tweet that says like how it started, how it's going, and
we're gonna be Dr. Fauci, like so stoked.
He's gonna be like on our podcast talking to us about how stoked he is.
God.
Dude, he was downright jovial, and it was so great to see.
Right?
And then like the headlines were like, how Biden decorates the White House. Biden has a Peloton. I was like, oh, this is the kind of headlines I need.
Right?
There's no more hate. Oh, Dr. Joe Biden gave cookies.
Oh, like Joe Biden's holding his cute grandson who's named after his late son, and they're dancing. It's like too much for one heart, I think, because it's too cute.
I just needed a moment. I needed a break. And honestly, I haven't watched Donald Trump speak since he got elected. Maybe like a handful of times because it's so emotionally triggering. So
it's bad garbage.
But I know I saw, the memes and stuff. So it's like having somebody just speak like a normal human being with compassion and a brain is just calming. But yeah, this was a great first start. I think this is going to be a blast.
I'm so excited and looking forward to next time on the Alex Files.
Yes, next time on the Alex Files, tune in, and in the meantime, stay gravy, stay happy, focus on self-care.
Stay grave you.
Stay graveyard, gravy travy.
Stay gravy, and
Listen to Gravy Train.
Listen to Gravy Train. We can't wait to get in your earpods, AirPods, or however you listen to podcasts, whether it's through your ears or not.
Or your toes. All right, signing off. This is the Alex Files.
This is the Alex Files. See you in the cabinets.
See ya.